Hey everyone, my name is Zach. I'm a 23-year-old competitive boulderer from Canada, currently living in Montreal. Welcome back to the COMPCLIMB training series, where I record most of my training, provide in-depth analysis of every session, and just chat about climbing with an emphasis on competition. So it has been a little while since I've done a COMPCLIMB actually. I think in the end of the last episode, I mentioned that I was going to do a little trip to Ontario to do kind of like a mock comp sort of thing. The Ontario Climbing Federation organized basically what was called a high performance competition, where they got some of the strongest athletes in the area to come together and do a little workshop with the setters, do a mock competition, and it was really well done and a cool event overall. Something that hasn't really been done before, and it was cool to be a part of it. So yeah, that was about like a week ago at this point. And so I did end up trying to film that, by the way. I think I mentioned in the last episode that we would have a video from it, but I didn't quite end up getting enough content to cover it. So yeah, we're just fast forwarding till now. And anyway, unfortunately, my streak of bad sessions had been continuing in the last week, and it continued into that mock comp as well. And I actually had a bit of a rough time. I also had some sessions with my friends in Ontario, and I was still feeling shaky in some of them. And this is like kind of a ridiculous streak that I've been on. All you've been hearing me talk about in the last few episodes of COMPCLIMB is how many bad sessions I've been having. And yes, it is kind of by design that since we're training a lot of strength right now, it makes sense that we're feeling tired, especially in our grip and beat down from the training. But I must say, I am extremely shocked by the body breaking down to this extent. Like, yes, I expected to maybe not be performing really, really well in my bouldering sessions, but it has been getting ridiculous, and I haven't had a good session in so long at this point that I'm getting a little bit scared. And basically what this boils down to, I think, is that I was too gung-ho on starting some really hard training to get better for next season. Like I've been talking about after the World Cups, I have a lot of motivation to push my level. And normally this is the time of the year to do it too. Like, the winter is the off season where all the athletes train really hard, build some strength, and then, around March, April, the season starts, and that's the performance mode. But the awkward thing about this comp season is we have this Pan Am Championships placed really weirdly in November, which there are not usually like really important competitions. So I was too gung-ho on starting to train really hard for next season, and I'm realizing that I need to hold on, take a second. I need to make sure that I'm in a performance, a good enough shape to perform well at Pan Am's. I can't be feeling so bad in all of these boulder sessions and then do a little quick week-long taper and a little mini peak for Pan Am's like I had initially planned. The plan was to do a little cram peak, you could say, a little last minute peak about a week out from Pan Am's, a week and a half, and then just make sure I'm feeling a little bit fresh. But I'm realizing that as Pan Am's is getting closer and closer, I'm starting to feel the pressure, and all of these bad sessions are just really psyching me out, and I need to be feeling good in my sessions, because that's going to affect my performance at Pan Am's, is my headspace as to where I'm at. So what I did is I had an emergency rest week. So immediately after that Ontario competition, I took 3 days off to kind of hit the reset button. I'm going to put pause on all the strength training and wait until after Pan Am's, because after Pan Am's, there aren't any more super important competitions until the World Cup season starts. So my main focus right now is all about Pan Am's. I want to be as peaked as I possibly can be for Pan Am's. So I rewrote the program just a little bit. I took off some spray wall sessions, some campus sessions, and we're gonna just do a lot of bouldering to make sure that I'm feeling really good on the wall and I can do lots of different styles of moves. And I also took down the volume of our workout a bit. We're only gonna be doing 2 reps. That's the nice power range we wanna be doing near a competition. Do some heavy loads, but not really break down the body with a lot of reps. And then I also am going to put pause on the one-arm hangboard training that I've been doing. I really think that it could be great for me and it could level me up, but I think I don't want to be experimenting with training right before a target event. And I've been feeling the extra grip soreness from the new hangboard training, I think. So I'm just going to do my regular hangboard, like my 2-hand half crimp hangs and pinch block, and kind of do what I've been doing for years and years just to make sure that I'm nice and peaked for Pan Ams. So I kind of had a little wake-up call, like, hey, you know, yes, I want to train hard, make some improvements, but hold on, I got to wait till after Pan Ams because I want to be in as good of a shape as I can be for Pan Ams. So that's the new plan. So the session that we're having here at Bloc is our first session back after my little emergency rest week, which was only 3 days long, like I said, so kind of on the shorter side for me. So I was kind of hoping to feel like, I had no idea how I was going to feel in this morning session because all of my sessions have been bad, even the ones that are usually good. So I was curious to see what I was going to be like. And, I felt not very good, like I felt weak, but it's the first session in the morning after a rest week, so that's kind of to be expected. So this one wasn't like an out of the ordinary bad feeling session. So you'll notice we're sticking to boulders that are kind of like, I kind of capped my session at V8. We're doing lots of moderates, and I'm really glad I did this. And I didn't try to hop on boulders that I thought, oh, maybe if I just try hard on this physical boulder that's, really hard, maybe I could do it. But I stuck to boulders in my comfort zone, which was good, and I was getting lots of different moves into my system, and I could feel my body was just like getting going and really getting activated throughout the session. So it was really good that I stuck to volume and variety basically for this session rather than trying to do hard boulders when I wasn't in a condition to. So going into the next session, I was hoping, like really hoping that I would just have a good, strong feeling session because it's maybe been like a week straight of just bad sessions. And I honestly, I swear, I was starting to forget what a good session felt like. So just for my sanity, I was really hoping that this next session I was going to be feeling strong and I could kind of just get into the rhythm a little bit more of the training and bouldering. And usually, even after a rest week, the second session of the first day will be strong feeling. Like this has been very common that I will feel like this. But this second session was, oh my goodness, like felt really bad. And I felt bad physically, but I gotta say, this session was one of the worst I felt mentally in a long time. I just kind of was getting really upset in this session. I actually haven't been in this place, like this headspace, in a long time in my training. And the reason is because I haven't tried to push my level so hard in a really long time, like a few years, honestly. And we've been doing really hard intensive training, even for these past couple weeks, which is evident by how my body's feeling. But this is actually kind of a cool thing, I think. So honestly, for the past year, even with the COMPCLIMB training series, we've been kind of like, it's been just sunshine and rainbows, honestly. We've had an amazing season, probably the best of my life, just in terms of a comp season, super successful. And I've been training hard, yes, but sort of at a maintenance level. Like I know sort of the level of training and skill that it takes to do well in North America, and it's in my comfort zone basically. But ever since the World Cups happened, I went to them and I got really motivated to push my level and try and achieve things that I've never done before. Well, now that's where we're starting to train extra hard and push the level. And with that comes a lot of struggle. And this is by design, hard training is hard for a reason. Trying to push your level and, become as like the best possible version of yourself you can be is extremely hard and is why not everybody tries to do it. And that's what makes being an athlete impressive, right? So anyway, the point is that I think this is going to be an important sort of arc to feature, is what I mean. Because anyone that's been following the COMPCLIMB series hasn't seen me in like a rut or like, down in the dumps mentally a little bit. And there's been plenty of this. A lot of it happened right before the COMPCLIMB series. But anyway, the point is, we can't be in a rut like mentally right before an important competition. So this is also tying into putting the heavy duty training on pause and saving it for after Pan Ams. So I think after Pan Ams is when we're going to go into a bit of that mental rut and experience the hardships that come with really hard training and really trying to push your level. So anyway, the goal right now is to get out of the rut, get psyched, feel good on the wall, and go and like crush a competition. But yeah, I think like I'm kind of starting to pick myself up out of this little mini rut that we're in, starting to have a bit more motivation and a positive mindset. But it will be very interesting to revisit this rut, and we can talk about, how to deal with hard training mentally, because it can be really hard to deal with. And we'll revisit this after Pan Ams, and I think it will be interesting. But anyway, this session that we're having here, the next day, is I think what is going to be the start of leaving that mental rut and starting to, get a little bit better feeling. This was finally the first decent session I've had in a while, and it felt really, really good. So I guess I haven't mentioned yet, that last session, you'll probably have noticed it was extremely short, and it was about 20 minutes. I just couldn't take it. I had to leave the gym. It was so bad, and I was getting like upset. Just like I said, down in the dumps, thinking about stuff. So I just had to go home, take a little extra rest. And even just like the act of doing that was really helpful. And I was able to rest a little bit, like chill out, come back to the gym the next day, which we are here, and reset a little bit. And it was nice that luck was on my side today as well. And I just felt fine for some reason today. I couldn't even really predict how I was going to feel, but physically it was all right. I felt super good, super normal, I'd say. And it felt nice to like move on the wall and feel like myself. So yeah, and I think this is also good that I switched this session to a bouldering session. On the older version of the program, it was meant to be a campus or a spray wall session, I don't remember. But it's important that we have good feeling sessions on boulders when we're right about to do a competition. And that is the idea, is when I switched a lot of the spray and campus sessions out for bouldering, this just makes us have more bouldering sessions and increases the chances that we will have good feeling boulder sessions, because confidence is like half the battle when it comes to competitions and being a competitor. So I need to make sure I'm having some good boulder sessions to get that confidence really high going into Pan Ams. And yeah, that meant we could finally try some of these hard boulders that I was kind of flopping around on in the yesterday session, including this yellow thing here, which maybe is like the hardest boulder in the gym actually, even though it's only listed as a 12. I definitely found this one to be harder than pretty much anything in the gym that I was trying. the sloper was really bad and it was difficult to pull off of to go latch the next crimp. But that one was really, really fun. And so we hop on this boulder again. So I was trying this a little bit yesterday. I actually tried it a little bit more off camera, but the attempts were so atrocious. Nobody wants to watch that, so I cut a few of them. And then anyway, I was curious to revisit this one today, especially after I realized I was feeling pretty decent. And this boulder is a hard one though, for sure, which wasn't helping yesterday when I was trying it feeling shaky. I couldn't tell if I was falling on something that was doable or if the boulder was really, really hard, and it was kind of in between. Definitely a hard boulder, but I was feeling better on it today. But anyway, check this out. I kind of realized on this attempt early on that by accident, I just static off of this paddle hold to the first of the intermediate paddle holds. And I was trying to go for the full triple clutch, but then I accidentally stopped in that static position. And so what I wanted to do was to try the full paddle a few more times, just because I thought it was good practice and good coordination practice. But you can see I'm having a few attempts here where I'm like fumbling it, and it's also really weird mentally to try a move that you know you're forcing and is contrived, especially after having already broke it like this. So I tried it a few more times. I understood the movement, and it was just a matter of kind of holding on to the last sloper, which is pretty bad. And so I decided that, okay, I get the idea. I've learned the move. Now I just want to try and do it my way. And yeah, this is like always a prominent theme with training, especially as a comp climber, knowing when you should practice a move because it's good for you to work on, and you will run into a situation in which it is forced and you want to have the muscle memory practiced. But I'm always an advocate for the idea of our job as climbers, our occupation is to have a boulder put in front of you, and you must get from the start holds to the finish hold. And that is always, always the most important part of climbing, in my opinion. So I do make time for forcing certain moves and certain ideas to learn them, which I did. I feel like I definitely learned the full paddle move a little bit better. I just couldn't hold on to the sloper in the end. But yeah, it gets to a certain point where, you know, you just always got to find your way up a boulder, because to do anything else is just like defeating the purpose of what you're training for and trying to do with climbing, right? And yeah, like, sure, it kind of feels like a little bit unfortunate sometimes when you do a boulder in a big reach or a big static like that, but it's actually extremely important as well to train your brain into knowing what its static bubble is and what your sort of range is and what moves you actually need to dyno to, but also what moves can you reach a little bit longer than you think, maybe slow down a dyno, or what can you actually static. And if you train your mind to think it can't static certain things that are actually within your range, this can be damaging for your like really, really good movement instincts. And so it was actually good that my body identified that I could static that move early on. And yeah, it got to the point where it was time to just send the boulder in whatever way possible. And that's always the most important thing in climbing, in my opinion. And then also with that last boulder, I think if that first paddle hold was just taken out, I think the move would have been forced. It would have been harder for sure. But anyway, yeah, just a little fact about that move. And then we're moving on to this boulder, which was super cool. This one took me a lot more attempts than I was happy with. And the reason for this is the last crimp is actually really, really bad. And I didn't realize that before I started trying this boulder. It's super, super slopey and really small. And the foot as well is actually quite garbage. So you kind of have to hit this last move perfectly. And on this attempt, This attempt was magical. Oh man, this felt so good. So check it out. I'm gonna stick this move pretty nicely. And that was the first attempt in which I implemented what is going to be today's tip of the day, and it worked immediately. And this is actually an idea that I've known of for a long time, but I often space out and forget to implement this. So anyway, let's start talking about it. So for today's tip of the day, we're going to be talking about the idea of aiming your hand at a hold that's blocked in order to latch it better. Now, this is an awesome tip of the day that I always forget about, and is a really, really easy one to forget about. So we got to do our best to remember it. Now, this is effective for two reasons. First, you'll notice, so what I'm doing is I'm aiming my hand at the hold, right? So I'm taking my arm, I'm pointing it at the hold and reaching as close to it as I can. Now, the first reason that this is good for me is that I'm minimizing the distance between the hold and my hand. So my hand actually gets to the hold quicker. Whereas if it was down by my hip or something, it's taking longer for my hand to get to the hold, and my body is already falling away from the wall by then, which is bad, and I have to latch the hold much quicker and more forcefully. Whereas if my hand hits the hold earlier, it has more time to actually process the hold it's grabbing and grip the hold. So that's the first benefit of this idea. And then the second is when you literally aim your hand at the finish hold, it's almost like you're sniping the hold down and you're aiming with the scope. You can see your hand is in line with your target hold, and you can watch your hand move up the wall into the hold that's blocked. And it's really, really effective for your spatial awareness, and your brain can process the coordination involved a lot easier. And there's actually less coordination involved in the move because all you're doing is moving your hand in that straight line because you've already aimed for it. Whereas if you have to reach up with your hand down by your hip and latch the hold, that's where the coordination is actually involved. And anyway, this aiming of the hand technique really works wonders, and it's very evident by the fact that I fell in the move like 10 times and then immediately stuck it using this idea. So definitely one to remember, and do your best not to forget about it. So anyway, I'm happy that I'm back on track. I had my little rest week. I'm all good to go. Sights are set on Pan Ams. I'm psyched. And yeah, that's the end of this one. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.